What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Monday, June 3rd, 2024. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Appreciate you all. Hope you all had a great weekend. Hope everybody's doing well. My weekend was exhausting, but it was good. It was a really good weekend, but exhausting. So hopefully, I don't know. I don't hope you're exhausted, but I hope you had a good one. Let's look at this Monday. We're gonna see Mercury coming into Gemini, and it is gonna feel a lot quicker, especially with our mind. It's kind of racing. We got both our mental energies, Mercury and Jupiter, coming together, and Mercury is just ripping here, really strong, +7. Jupiter, of course, is the weak one, -4 in its detriment position of Gemini, but Mercury comes in here strong as ever. Mars is +8 in Aries. Lots of strong energy. The moon's in its exaltation. Venus is going to lose a little bit of score, of course. Still a +4, actually, but because it loses that reception with Mercury. But dang, talk about mentally things starting to ramp up and certain contemplations and thought. And it could be a lot inwardly, but it could be about big things as we're meeting with Jupiter into tomorrow. And we're also seeing, of course, Venus and the Sun at 13 degrees, and they're going to have their conjunction tomorrow on Tuesday, where Venus is going to pass the Sun, Mercury's going to pass Jupiter. We got a new moon coming. What is that? It's going to be on the 6th, and it's square Saturn. So that's the other thing, is we're starting to bridge into these Saturn squares. So it's definitely so mental, but also the thought's heavy. And I think that the thought can go so far, so wide right now that it could feel like a trap. It could feel like a lot of mental weight. And I mean, we want to be a little bit careful of how much mental weight we're carrying. So we want to be able to, like Saturn's saying, you got to let some things go here in Pisces, right? You got to be responsible. And sometimes being responsible is actually filtering out what's important and what's not important. So we got to do a little bit of like examination here when it comes to our thought about relationships, our thought about the energy around us, our thought about our knowing and where we're going, where the journey's heading with Mercury, Jupiter. Definitely a lot of things to keep in mind here as our thoughts are really like racing. Like, how do we ramp up our environments? How do we get more stimulation? But I feel like we're at this point, it's just overstimulation. And at some point, we have to figure out as we go into this week and on this Monday, like how to not overly stimulate ourselves and to, find some balance without being so heady, because it's extremely heady. And maybe the moon's good backup before it does go into its balsamic phase and become that dark moon, which is 30 degrees from the sun, which will be tomorrow. And here, it's coming off a square to Pluto. We got Mercury and Jupiter trining Pluto. We even have Mars that's just going to come to 26 degrees of Aries, starting to square Pluto. So there's so many Pluto aspects, and I mean that's why I feel like our mind can be, it could be a dark hole in many ways right now. It could really aggravate us in some ways and have us. There's two sides to every coin, right? But this one's like, gosh, we could be so mentally engaged in what we're passionate about doing and what we want and our desires, and how do we make them, really start to move here and make them go forward. And, that could be straining too, because if things aren't moving fast, because that's the other thing with Mercury, is that it's starting to move fast here. It's going to come to 2 degrees per day in travel. I mean, Mercury is going to skip through Gemini. So our mind's skipping, baby. So we got to figure out ways to ground ourselves. I think the moon in Taurus can help us definitely do that, take care of ourselves, do something nice for ourselves, treat ourselves, really well when it comes to maybe what we're eating, maybe spa energy, like how you go get, take care of yourself and, let the mind rest, because gosh, I'm telling you, if this Monday feels like it's just like heavy mental energy, like we're not even to the new moon yet, and we're not, there's just a lot more ahead. So we want to like find ways to ground and get back into the feeling side of life and not just all mental, because I think this is where we all start to feel like these mental, um, just really strong mental energy where, I mean, that's great. Don't get me wrong. It's good to think. It's good to be on top of our stuff in life. But with the squares to Saturn, it can just feel much, much heavier than necessary. And maybe some of it too is about pattern recognition. And, are we jumping quickly into the same, patterns and ways of thought that we're actually supposed to be maybe growing out of, adapting and changing and using all this mutable energy that we have in the chart to our advantage, and like make necessary changes um, for, soul growth, right? So that's where I'm at for this Monday. Definitely, like, we want to be able to evolve. I think Pluto's trying to make us do that into a future. It's kind of trying to break patterns here in Aquarius instead of maybe follow the same that we've been doing for a while now. So I think a lot of the mental stimulation is things that they're patterns that are worn out, and that we want to make the necessary adjustments and like really keep what works for us now, and then whatever doesn't work, we want to be, definitely paying attention to the signs, and a lot of those signs are just our own patterns. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's very personal for many of us. What are the patterns in your life right now? What kind of thoughts are you having right now? And I mean, you got to be, I guess, honest at the same token and be like, is this like truth going to expand my life in my environment that I live right here, right now, or not? Because in some ways we're almost trying to keep things the same on this Monday when we know tweak and adjustment and being flexible, mutable is definitely something that is necessary, but the moon can want to be a little stubborn here in Taurus and be like, no, this is good for me. This is really good. And maybe it is, right? Maybe it is. We're seeing Saturn sextile the midpoint of the moon and Uranus too. So, believe it or not, I think doing things a little bit differently will bring more comfort, because you'll feel like a sensation of breaking, some kind of a pattern or habit, or something that I think we're all meant to grow from and move on, moving forward. So, hope you all have a great Monday. Yeah, it's gonna be mental for a little bit here, especially after all the Taurus and the Aries. The Taurus was kind of slowing things down, and the Aries was like, let's go. And then now it's just like really getting ready for a very intense Gemini season, and one that, I feel like takes work to make the necessary changes in the environment that are better for us long term. It's interesting, interesting astrology. It always is, but I feel like this is an interesting Gemini season. Wow, the Lovers. That is the Gemini card, of course. The Lovers. Sun, Venus are together. It's super interesting about relationships. I mean, what is up with like romantic relationships right now? Are patterns repeating in certain romantic relationships, or does there need to be adjustments? Are things, really blossomingly Are they things blossoming in a beautiful way? Are they not? I don't know. But even without a romantic relationship, if you're not looking for one or in one, it's also, you know, maybe there's a deeper desire than there was to maybe look for that somewhere. So apparently, love is definitely in the spring air, I suppose. Got that upright, and it's a beautiful card. I don't really know what else to say. What did we get? Why did we get the Lovers? The Emperor in reverse. God, don't you just love when you like pull another card and it just goes right to another major arcana, but in reverse, and just changes the whole story? I think love right now has to be going to a place where both parties are being able to be in that emperor energy and really dictate and pioneer their life and be, there has to be a level of independence, I think, that is super important. And maybe I'm speaking from my own perspective there, but that's what jumps out to me with these cards is that the codependent relationship is maybe the pattern that needs to break, and that relationships don't even know what true love is and what really like divine unconditional love is until both people are able to be in that emperor leading, delegating of their life forward energy, um, while still having a relationship and still having that divine love too. So, geez, what you get sometimes. It's deep. I know that's true for me. It feels like I just gave myself a reading, so I don't know. Hopefully that works for you guys. But I love and appreciate you all, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Much love. Peace.